Have you ever poured everything you had into something, your time, your energy, your hope, and felt like nothing was moving? You rise before the sun, you push through the tired, and still, the results stay out of reach. Days stack into weeks. Effort fades into exhaustion. And somewhere in the quiet, a small voice asks, does any of this even matter? Sometimes life makes us wait longer than seems fair. We watch others move forward while we stand in the same spot, doing the same work, holding onto the same belief that one day it will be worth it. But what if the waiting isn't wasted time? What if it's the very thing that shapes us into who we need to become? This is the story of a young man who discovered that what grows slowly often lasts the longest. His name was Kael, and he lived in a small clay-dusted town on the edge of a wide river. Every family along the riverbank had a kiln. The scent of fired earth hung in the morning air like a second sky. Kael's grandfather had been the town's finest potter, a man whose hands seemed to understand clay the way a musician understands sound. Kael had inherited those hands, but not yet the wisdom behind them. He was 22, restless, and hungry to be known. He dreamed of stalls lined with his work at the great trade market in the next valley, of merchants lifting his pots and nodding with approval. So he worked fast. He spun, he shaped, he fired, pot after pot after pot. Speed, he believed, was the same as strength. But the faster he moved, the more things fell apart. The clay cracked, handles snapped off at the base, glazes dried uneven and dull. Still, Kael refused to slow down. If I wait for them to dry properly, he told his grandfather one morning, I'll miss the market window. The old man watched him quietly, the way still water watches the wind. Clay only answers to time, he said at last. Push it and it breaks. Kael sighed. That was true in your day. People want things quickly now. His grandfather simply smiled. Time hasn't changed, Kael. We have. Kael didn't answer. He turned back to his wheel, pressed harder, spun faster, determined to prove that patience was a luxury, not a rule. But by evening, 3 of his freshest pots had split apart in the kiln. He stood staring at the pieces, embarrassed and hollow. His grandfather didn't scold him. He just said, quietly, every craft has a rhythm. You can fight it or you can follow it. When the Harvest Festival was announced, the largest celebration of the year, with a craft prize that could open doors to the great trade market, Kael's eyes lit up. This is my moment. I'll make 100 pieces, he told his grandfather. Enough to fill a whole table. Make 10 that are true, the old man replied. The rest will follow. Kael wasn't listening. He was already at the wheel. He worked through the daylight hours without stopping. He didn't test the moisture of the clay. He didn't wait for the walls to settle. He loaded the kiln before anything was ready, and by nightfall his shelves were stacked with pots that looked perfect until the fire touched them. One by one, the sound of cracking filled the dark workshop. Then silence. Kael sat on the floor, his palms caked in dry clay, his shelves full of ruins. For the first time, he didn't feel proud of how fast he'd worked. He just felt empty. The days that followed were a blur of the same mistakes. He rose early, stayed late, shaped dozens of pieces, rushed the drying, and stacked them near the heat before they were ready. One night, he fired 20 at once, standing beside the glowing kiln in the dark, imagining the prize coin in his palm. When morning came, he opened the kiln door and the smile left his face. Most had cracked. Several had burst apart entirely. His mother came running at the sound. She found him standing still among the broken pieces, unable to speak. His grandfather picked one up and turned it slowly in his hands. This one wanted more time. You didn't give it. Kael's voice cracked. I worked harder than anyone. Why does nothing last? Because strength doesn't come from speed, the old man said. It comes from patience. Kael walked away. The village whispered. He avoided the market, avoided the looks. He felt like a failure carved in clay. A week later, he found his grandfather setting up a small stand in the square. On the table sat only 3 pots. Plain, simple, perfectly balanced. People slowed down to touch them. A woman asked how long it had taken to make something so smooth. The old man smiled. As long as it needed. Kael stood at the back of the crowd and watched. And for once, he didn't feel jealous. He felt something quieter, an ache that told him he'd been chasing the wrong thing entirely. That night, He returned to the workshop. He didn't light the kiln. He didn't spin the wheel. He just sat among the broken pieces and let the silence say what words couldn't. He picked up a cracked pot, ran his fingers along the fracture, and whispered to himself, "I keep trying to win. I never stop to learn." For a long time, he didn't move. He just thought about what his grandfather had been trying to give him. Then, slowly, he began again. One pot. No rushing. He shaped it with both hands, checking the walls for evenness, setting it gently on the drying shelf, and walking away. The next morning he came back, adjusted the rim where it had bowed slightly, and waited again. Day after day. Shape. Dry. Wait. Fire. The village children walked past his workshop and teased him. "Still on one pot, Kael? You'll be done by next harvest." He smiled. "Maybe, but this one won't break." His hands moved slower now, but steadier. He was learning, finally, what he had refused to hear. That patience wasn't the absence of effort. It was effort with trust, control without force. By the end of the month, Kael had only a handful of finished pots, but they were unlike anything he had made before. Smooth walls, balanced weight. When he tapped one lightly with his finger, it rang, a clean, clear note, like something alive. His grandfather came by one afternoon, touched the rim of the tallest pot, and nodded. "Now the clay listens to you." Kael shook his head gently. "No, I finally learned to listen to it." When the harvest festival returned the following season, Kael packed his small collection into a cart lined with straw and walked toward the square without expectation. He didn't go to win. He went to show what he had learned. The square was full of color and noise, banners, musicians, handmade goods stretching in rows down the main street. When Kael arrived, a few familiar faces looked up. "Kael the potter," someone called. "Didn't your last batch all fall apart?" He smiled. "They did. These ones took a little longer." He set up his table beside his grandfather's. Side by side, the two stands looked quiet against the bustle. No signs, no performance. Just the work itself. People stopped. They lifted the pots. They noticed the weight, the smoothness, the way each one felt finished rather than forced. A merchant turned one over in his hands. "This feels solid. How did you make it?" Kael answered without hesitation. "By learning to wait." Word moved through the crowd. People came back, curious about the young potter who used to rush everything and now made things that felt like they had always existed. When the judges reached his table, one older man ran his thumb across the clay and asked, "How long did this take you?" Kael answered honestly, "Longer than I wanted to." The judge smiled. That's usually when the best things happen. At sunset, the mayor climbed the wooden stage and asked for quiet. "This year's award," he said, "goes to the craftsman whose patience brought honesty to his work." He looked toward Kael and his grandfather. The crowd turned and clapped. Kael stood still, disbelieving. His grandfather placed a hand on his shoulder and said softly, "You see, time listens too, when we learn to wait." The mayor set a small silver coin into Kael's palm, the symbol of craft and honor in their town. It wasn't the coin that moved him. It was the weight of what it meant. Everything his grandfather had been trying to teach him, not a lesson about pottery, but about life itself, had finally landed somewhere deep and real. That night, walking home beneath the lantern light, Kael pushed his cart slowly along the dirt road. The pots inside made a soft, steady sound with each step. He looked at his grandfather and said, "I used to think patience meant doing nothing. Now I think it means doing the right thing long enough to see it grow." The old man smiled. "Then your hands have finally caught up with your heart." The festival ended. The songs faded. The square emptied. But inside Kael's workshop, something new remained. He no longer worked to impress anyone. He worked because he had found the deep quiet that comes with doing one thing well. Every morning, he shaped clay with steady hands. Every evening, he cleaned his tools and left the bench ready for the next day. People noticed. When their pots cracked, they brought them to Kael. He repaired each one with care and a calm he hadn't had before. Old Mrs. Reyna said, "You've grown patient, young man." He replied, "I just learned that rushing breaks more than clay." Even travelers stopped to watch him work. He said little, but his hands said everything. One afternoon, a young child asked, "Doesn't all that waiting make you bored?" Kael thought for a moment. "If I rush, I start over. If I wait, I finish." Years passed. Kael's workshop became known across several neighboring towns. He had grown calmer, steadier. One evening his grandfather came to visit. He stood in the doorway looking at the shelves, every pot smooth, every one strong. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You've built more than clay here, Kael. You've built peace." Kael looked up from the wheel and said simply, "Patience built it. I just showed up." Patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about working quietly while time does its part. It's staying at the wheel when everything in you wants to walk away. Maybe you've been giving your best for a long time. Working, hoping, showing up, and the results still haven't come. It's easy to believe you've failed. But sometimes life slows us down because what we're building needs more time than we planned for. Patience doesn't mean standing still. It means returning every day, even when no one is watching. It means trusting that what you give in silence still counts. When Kael stopped chasing speed, he found steadiness. And in that steadiness, he found strength. The truth is, everything real takes time. A seed doesn't bloom overnight. The tallest trees grow through quiet seasons, when no one is there to cheer them on. So if you're still waiting for your moment, don't leave now. Stay consistent. Keep your hands on the wheel. Keep showing up. Because one day, everything you gave in the quiet will rise. Not fast, but firm. Patience doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. When it's finished, the work speaks, and it speaks louder than anything else ever could. And maybe that's where your story is right now. Not at the finish line, not at the festival, but in the quiet workshop, surrounded by broken pieces, finally ready to begin again. The wheel is still there. The clay is still there. All it needs is you, and a little more time. Stories like this one take time to write, just like the pots took time to make. If you believe in what we're building here, subscribe and hit the bell. It tells us the work is worth continuing. We'll see you in the next story.